The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Ambassador Vrektal of the Zervathi Empire slammed his crystalline appendage against the conference table. His translator flickered, converting his guttural speech into universal standard. This is intolerable. The human delegation dares to. Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez sat quietly in the corner, her fingers dancing across her datapad, logging every word, every inflection, every subtle threat woven into the ambassador's tirade. For 3 months, she'd occupied this chair, invisible to the political machinations unfolding before her. Just a translator. Just a linguist. Just a human doing paperwork while empires negotiated humanity's fate. That's what they all thought. The Zervathi had been circling Earth like vultures for years, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Humanity was young, naive, with only a handful of colony worlds and a modest defense fleet. The Council had accepted Earth's petition for membership, but membership meant little without respect. And the Zervathi respected only power. The human homeworld possesses resources we require, Vrektal continued, his tone dripping with contempt. We propose a trade agreement. You're mining rights on Earth in exchange for our protection. Protection. The word tasted like ash in Maya's mouth. She'd studied Zervathi history, their language, their culture. She knew what protection meant. Subjugation. Exploitation. The slow death of independence. Ambassador Jackson, Earth's representative, maintained his diplomatic composure. We appreciate the offer, but Earth's sovereignty is not negotiable. Vrektal's mandibles clicked in what Maya recognized as amusement. Sovereignty. You speak of sovereignty when you cannot even defend your own system. Our fleet detected your military response time. Pitiful. 3 of our cruisers could reduce your orbital defenses to debris before your reinforcements arrived. The chamber erupted in murmurs. Several species shifted uncomfortably. The Zervathi were powerful, but this was a naked threat in the Council itself. Maya's fingers stopped moving. Her eyes lifted from her datapad for the first time that session. She'd been trained for this moment at the Defense Language Institute, then recruited into a program so classified even most admirals didn't know it existed. Humanity had learned something the other species hadn't considered: language wasn't just communication. It was code. It was access. It was power. She cleared her throat. The sound was barely audible, but Ambassador Jackson glanced at her. She gave him the slightest nod. Ambassador Vrektal, Jackson said, his voice taking on a harder edge. Before we continue, I believe Lieutenant Rodriguez has identified a translation error. Lieutenant? Maya stood, and for the first time, every eye in the chamber focused on the quiet human in the corner. She walked to the center of the floor, her boots clicking against the polished stone. Forgive the interruption, Ambassador, she said in perfect universal standard. Then she switched to Zervathi, her throat producing the complex harmonics that their species considered beautiful. But I couldn't help noticing your fleet positioning. Vrektal's eyes widened. Humans weren't supposed to speak Zervathi. The language required vocal cords humans didn't naturally possess. Yet here she stood, speaking with native fluency. Your 3 cruisers, Maya continued in Zervathi, the ones you mentioned. The Devourer's Claw, the Crimson Talon, and the Star Breaker. Currently in holding position at coordinate 774 by 923. Impressive vessels. The ambassador's composure cracked. Those were classified positions, updated only hours ago through encrypted military channels. Channels that used Zervathi military protocols. Protocols that were supposed to be unbreakable. Maya smiled, and it wasn't a friendly expression. What the Zervathi Empire doesn't know is that for the past 8 months, we've had translators embedded in every major species communication networks. We don't just translate words, Ambassador. We translate code. Encryption. Command structures. She pulled out her datapad and spoke a single phrase in ancient Zervathi, a dialect so old that only military AI systems still used it for their deepest security protocols. It was the language of their warship cores, the neural networks that controlled weapons, shields, and life support. Koreth Vaxnel Sun. The translation would have been innocuous to most, the blade remembers its sheath. But in ancient Zervathi military code, spoken with the precise harmonic frequency Maya had just used, it meant something else entirely. It was a kill command. Vrektal's communicator exploded with panicked reports. His 3 cruisers had simultaneously shut down. Weapons offline. Shields collapsed. Life support operating on emergency reserves. Dead in space, completely vulnerable. What have you done? Vrektal roared. A demonstration, Maya replied calmly, switching back to Universal Standard. Those ships will reboot in approximately 10 minutes. No permanent damage. But I want you to understand something, Ambassador. Humanity didn't join the Galactic Council because we needed your protection. We joined because we chose cooperation over isolation. But make no mistake, we've been preparing. She addressed the entire chamber now, her voice carrying to every delegate, every species that had underestimated Earth. While you saw us as primitive, we were learning. Every language. Every protocol. Every system. We're not warriors by nature, but we're survivors. And we've survived by being smarter, more adaptable, and more resourceful than anyone expects. Ambassador Jackson stood beside her. The human delegation withdraws the Zervathi proposal. And we propose instead a mutual defense treaty, with Earth taking a seat on the Council's Security Committee. The silence that followed was deafening. Species that had barely acknowledged humanity's existence now looked at Maya Rodriguez with new understanding. The quiet translator had just demonstrated something terrifying. Humans didn't need the biggest guns or the strongest shields. They had something more dangerous. They understood everyone else better than they understood themselves. Vrektal's ships rebooted 13 minutes later. The Zervathi Empire issued a formal apology within the hour and withdrew from Earth's system entirely. The Mutual Defense Treaty passed unanimously. And Lieutenant Maya Rodriguez returned to her chair in the corner, fingers dancing across her datapad, logging every word, every reaction, every lesson learned. Just a translator. That's what they thought. And that was exactly how humanity wanted it.